911 emergency, yes, for you.
Hi, someone just broke into my house and tried to cut my finger off.
Welcome back for part 2 of Leigh Collins' Stalker story. I said it in the first video and I must say it again. This ain't for the faint-hearted. It's a very traumatizing, scary, real-life incident story. So if you haven't watched part 1, go ahead and do that. So today we're gonna kick it off with 911 call and some body cam footage that happened straight after the incident. And then we're gonna kind of dive into the story a little bit. So grab a seat and let's go.
Sharing the real 911 call where I call 911 for myself after fighting the violent stalker who'd been watching me for 7 years. I want to say this one is a really hard one. Definitely take care when watching this. It's the 911 call paired with body cam footage from the first officers on the scene. So this is just minutes after it happened. There is blood that you'll see. So just please take it in only if you feel like you're in a good place to do that.
911 emergency, yes, for you.
Hi, someone just broke into my house and tried to cut my finger off.
What's your address?
It's 1714 5th Street.
Okay, when did this happen?
Just now, I'm bleeding a lot.
Okay.
Whatever.
How was it cut?
What?
How was it cut?
With a knife. He cut my head and cut my left finger off.
Okay, we're gonna get you some help, okay? Is there a gate code there?
What?
Is there a gate code there?
No, it's apartment number 1.
Okay. Which way did the person go?
We were in a car and I locked the door.
What was that?
I don't know. He locked the door.
Okay.
Bless her.
Okay, hold on, okay?
Oh, there's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of cuts everywhere.
Listen to me. We're getting help on the way. What I'm going to do is
dear.
transfer your fires so we can help you with the blood, okay?
She's so strong.
Okay. What should I do?
911 emergency, McDowell. Hello. What's the address?
1714 5th Street.
1714 5th Street?
Correct.
Okay. Is this an apartment?
Yes.
What apartment number?
Yeah, it feels so long, like when you go through this call, especially when you're in shock.
Broke
It's like, hurry up.
And I saw it and he cut my finger off. He cut my earbud.
So you have a cut on your finger?
He cut my left ring finger off, and I have a gap in my arm and 2 cuts on my head.
How old are you?
36, 32.
One moment. How's your breathing?
I'm just really scared.
So, ma'am,
Our blood.
did you say someone cut your finger?
He cut it off.
It's totally off?
Oh, why are they asking these questions? Is it totally off? Yes, off. Get there.
Okay, where's the person that did this?
What? I feel like I'm going to faint.
Yeah, for
Okay.
blood loss.
Where's the person that did this, ma'am?
He left. Figure it out.
He's what?
Oh my
He ran
god,
away.
it's like they already
He ran
asked these
away?
questions. Why do they keep repeating it?
Okay, ma'am, hold on one moment. Don't hang up, okay? We're on the way. Do you have anything to control the bleeding with? A clean cloth?
Yeah, I have a cloth.
Okay, don't remove it. If it gets soaked, just add additional. Hold on, okay?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, what's your name?
Leigh.
Okay. Was the other lady able to help you?
She talked to me and asked me a question.
Was she able to help you with your hand?
A little bit, yeah.
How could she help?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I want you to try to remember what he looked like. Was he your friend or do you know him?
No, he's not.
Okay, do you remember if he was white, black, Hispanic?
He was black. He was about 6'2", 6'3". He was thin. He had a thin, narrow face. He had a goatee. He was wearing a hat and a sweatshirt.
Do you remember what color
Gosh,
hat?
she's doing great.
I think it was kind of reddish.
Okay, what about the sweatshirt?
The sweatshirt was dark, but I don't know what color.
Did it have any writing on it?
Someone said the police are here.
They are.
Okay, I'm coming. Oh,
Oh my gosh, she's not so well for not fainting or anything. She's still conscious. And the dog, is the dog okay? How's Ricky?
Are you going outside?
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean she didn't faint. She lost so much blood.
Do you see them?
So that was the 911 call. So distressing. Like, oh my god, she's just amazing. She's done so great. And now we're gonna hear kind of more about the story.
I'm sure you guys can tell that I've been a little reluctant to talk about the stalking piece. I think that's threefold. One, I would say, is the thing that scares me the most. Of all the things I've talked about, that's the thing that really gets under my skin and makes my skin crawl. Two, I would say, because it happened later in the timeline, that, we didn't find out about that right away. There were clues that came along the way, and it was over the course of like months and years. Three, we just have the least amount of information from the police about that part, which I'll explain. First, I'll talk about how he was arrested. He left fingerprints, like I showed you guys. He also left DNA. That was something that when he stabbed me in the head, because it was just a kitchen knife from my kitchen, when it impacted the bone, his hand slid on it.
Also usually happens.
And it cut his hand really bad. That's why when he was down on the ground, he was looking at his hands when I first sat up, like, and then he also left, I didn't tell you guys this yet, but he also left I think he dropped his cell phone, he dropped his ID, he dropped his credit card.
What an idiot.
He dropped his headphones.
Wow.
All on the ground.
So left all the clues behind,
so that
which
was
is
all
good
on the
for our
ground in my
case.
bedroom. So all to say the police had plenty to catch him with. They used his fingerprints. They ran him in the system. He was in the system. He was on parole. So this happened on a Thursday night, Friday morning, and they arrested him on Monday at his parole meeting.
Brilliant.
But I, in the ER, met the detective for the first time. And I won't say his name. I won't share his identity, but I don't think I said this on the podcast, but he's very handsome. And we have the same birthday. So shout out. But he arrested the man who attacked me on Monday. And then from there, he was our point of contact for asking questions or any next steps in there. So when they told me that he got arrested, I was still in the hospital. I was high on a bunch of pain medications. I was surrounded by family and friends. So I was in my bubble, and it didn't really sink in or process it. I was relieved, but at that time, I didn't really feel much of anything, to be honest. But then when I got out of the hospital, the detective warned me to stay off of social media, to stay out of the public eye, to not go back to my old address, and to find someplace else to stay.
Wow.
Because he said, even though the man who attacked me is in jail, they don't know if he would have anyone on the outside that would potentially come to intimidate me out of testifying or come to hurt me in any way. So me and my family got an Airbnb, and we stayed there for a couple months. My family stayed with me for, I think, a month and a half. And I think I know it was in the Airbnb that I first started to feel this tickling, where I started to think, was he just walking by on the sidewalk and thought, I'm going to break into this girl's house today? Or had he been watching me for a few days? Had he kind of cased the apartment? It started to creep in this fear that maybe I had been hunted. That was how it felt. That was the fear. Look at the windows at night. At that time, I was staying up all night. I couldn't sleep. And I would stay up all night. I was in a lot of pain from my hand. Then the pain happened. But I would just stare at the windows and wonder if there was someone on the other side. So even though I was afraid,
Trauma.
and even though there were these kind of unanswered questions, months went by without any new developments there, any new information there. You know, other new developments and other new things came in, like the DNA came in and confirmed that it was him, things like that. But as far as him watching me, that still was a mystery. It was about, I think, maybe 6 months after the attack. The attack happened in February, and I believe this was in like July or August, that I got a call from the detective. And
What
he
did he
was
say?
in the car. I could tell that he was in the car driving, and he said, I need to ask you 3 questions, and they're going to sound really strange. And I, of course, said, sure, you know, like, okay, anything. And the first question was, were you at a party the night of the attack? And I said no, because I wasn't.
Okay.
I had gotten my hair cut that day and like made dinner and ate it on the couch. And he said, the second question is, do you know Nipsey Hussle? And I said, I know his music. This was at a time when he was alive, but I don't know him personally. So he said, okay. And then he said, the third question is, have you been to Arizona? And I thought about it and I said, yes. You know, when I first moved to LA, I had a boyfriend and he had family that had moved from northern Wisconsin to Arizona. And he said, okay, what year was that? And I told him what year. And then he said, okay, do you know the name of the city that you visited in Arizona? And I thought for a second, because I knew it was like a silly name. It was like a funny name where where my ex's family lived. I thought about it and I was like, I can't remember, but I think it's Happy, Arizona. And he paused and he said, okay, think about it and call me if you remember anything else.
How
So I started
odd.
pacing and I was thinking and I was thinking and I was trying to make all these connections. What is it? You know, like Nipsey Hussle and the party and was I, you know, supposed to go to a party and how is it all connected? And I just was like, brrr. So I decided to go to the movies, which was something that I did like, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times a week around that time. Cause it was the one place that I could get my thoughts to turn off, that I could just be in a dark room and watch someone else's story on the screen. So I went to the movies and afterward I went and sat at this little wine bar outside of the movie theater and it was late and I was the only one there. And I just started Googling his name, the man who attacked me, his name, and Arizona. And nothing came up. And then I Googled his name and Phoenix, Arizona. And I got a hit, you know, like I saw his name and it was all these addresses. Saw his most recent address, which was in Los Angeles. And then I saw his last address, which was in Surprise, Arizona. And that he had moved to Los Angeles in 2011. I called the detective and I freaked out and I was like, it was Surprise, Arizona and it was in 2011 and that's when I moved here. And he was like, I know. I needed you to come do it on your own. And let me know if you remember anything else. I said, can you tell me anything why? Like, why are you asking these questions?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Said, I can't tell you everything. What I can tell you is that someone wrote a letter to the DA's office.
Saying what?
And they are in daily contact with the man who attacked me. And they wrote a 6-page letter that has information in it that we are investigating and that we are looking into.
Someone wrote
And that
his...
was where he was driving that day, was to talk to this person. That's all that I can tell you. I'm sorry. So I went home that night and, you know, there were all these unanswered questions in my head and it stayed that way for, how long? I think a little over 2 years.
Jesus, 2 years
So
of not knowing.
flash forward to fall of 2020. There's a lot more things that happened in there that I'll tell you guys about, of course. But for the purpose of this information, the stalking piece and how this started to take shape. We're about to go to trial. And I think to myself, you know, like, this is the time. This is when I'm going to get to finally read this letter. This letter's going to come out. I knew that he wasn't charged for stalking. They had discussed that with me beforehand, that they had been investigating, but that was just, they already had 2 charges that they were charging him with that could carry a life sentence. So they felt like they had already kind of hedged their bets, and they felt confident in getting that conviction. And I'll do a post about like what he was, what his charges were and what he was convicted of. But I knew he wasn't being charged for stalking, but I still thought, you know, if someone wrote this letter into the DA's office,
how odd, who?
You need to hear this about this man, that this letter was going to come up in the evidence. We get through the trial and no mention of the letter. The letter never comes up. But about a week after the trial is over, I finally get a chance to read this letter. I've never let anyone read the letter. I have pictures of it, and I've never shared it. I don't want to share who the person was that wrote it because I worry about like their safety and making sure that they're safe. But I do think there's pieces of this letter that I can show you guys. Also, the whole letter is a little bit like, there's stuff in there that's just eerie about him with other things. I'll do a separate post that's all about this letter, and I'll show you pieces of it that started to really fill out this picture for how long he had been watching and things that he had admitted to.
So he was stalking her, guys. He was a stalker.
To me, and then I think more disturbingly when it came to potentially other women. I know that's a lot to digest, and I hope that I'm like giving you guys enough information to follow along so that you feel like you're not like, wait, what? You know, like, and then what? It is a little bit like that, but I'm gonna keep posting more information and answering you guys' questions. I'll do a full post about the letter, and I'm gonna start digging into too, like, once we get there, like the road to getting to trial, because for me, I felt very lost going through that process. I was like, process to go. I thought we were going to go to trial like as soon as I got out of the hospital, and it was not. It was a long, hard road, and it took a lot of pushing from my end, and it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of energy from the detective and from... And
mind you, they had all the evidence. There was him, and it was a hard road. Can you imagine people who don't have the evidence or enough proof?
This is just kind of like, I have a lot more things to say, and we have done kind of our own digging, so I'll share more about that. But I know you guys were wondering this, like, how do you know that he was watching you for that long? Because that's, I find, to be the scariest part.
It's in the letter.
So I'll keep sharing more, but that I wanted to let you guys know, like, this was the breadcrumbs that led us on this path.
So that was it for the part 2, and thank God he was dumb enough, clumsy enough, or like, you know, just karma was on this woman's side from the first second. I'll tell you that he dropped so many evidence, his ID, prints, everything. Just so lucky. And he was a stalker. It was all in a letter, and he has been convicted. So I think we should watch a part 3 with a conviction and what he got. Did he go to prison and the rest of it, kind of to sum it up. So I'll do a part 3 with a basically what happened at the trial. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 3. Bye bye. Mwah.